Captain Kang Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the UES Discovery, looking at the strange alien ship ahead. After 200 years of waiting, humanity finally had contact with aliens. The ship looked like a crystal flower floating in space, beautiful and alien. "Captain, they're sending another message," said Yoon Ha-na from her communication station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she tried to decode the alien language. Dr. Park So-min walked up to the captain. She had been working day and night to understand the alien messages. "Sir, I think I've figured out their greeting ceremony. They want to exchange something they call life essence samples to show we're not dangerous to each other." Kang Dae-ho nodded. This was the moment humanity had dreamed about for centuries. "What do we need to do?" "They'll give us a sample of their biology and we give them one of ours. It's like shaking hands but with science," So-min explained. She held up a small glass container. "I've prepared something special. It contains samples from Earth that show our biological diversity." Commander Lee Jin-woo joined them. He was a big man with scars on his hands from his military days. "The security team is ready, Captain. But these aliens seem peaceful. Their ship has no weapons we can detect." "Good. Hana, tell them we accept their greeting ceremony," the captain ordered. 2 hours later, they met on Harmony Point, a neutral space station built for meetings between different species. The alien delegation was amazing to see. Ambassador Thelnara looked like a walking crystal sculpture, with light flowing through her body like water. Her voice sounded like wind chimes when she spoke. "We welcome the humans to the galactic community," Thelnara said through the translation device. "Let us share the ritual of peaceful intent." The ambassador held out a small crystal container with glowing liquid inside. So-min stepped forward with her own container, smiling widely. "This is from Earth," So-min said proudly. "It represents humanity's relationship with life itself." Thelnara took the container and passed it to her assistants, 3 smaller crystal beings. They immediately began testing the sample using strange scanning devices that hummed and glowed. Within minutes, alarms started ringing throughout the alien section of the station. The 3 assistant beings fell to the ground, their crystal bodies turning dark. Other aliens rushed to help them, speaking in panicked musical voices. "What's happening?" Kang Dae-ho demanded. Thelnara's light flickered with what looked like fear. "Your sample. It contains death agents, plague makers, disease spirits. Our people are dying." So-min looked confused. "But it's just basic Earth biology. Some bacteria, viruses, fungi, things humans live with every day. I thought it would show how diverse our planet is." "You live with plague makers?" Thelnara stepped back in horror. Commander Lee Jin-woo tried to help. "It's normal for us. Humans have been fighting diseases for millions of years. It made us stronger. We have immune systems that can handle almost anything. You wage war against plagues. And win?" another alien whispered. "Well, sometimes we lose," Jin-woo said honestly. "The Black Death killed about 1/3 of Europe. The Spanish flu killed 50 million people, but we always come back stronger." The aliens made sounds like breaking glass. To them, Jin-woo was describing humanity's casual survival of apocalyptic disasters. Dr. So-min tried to explain further. "Humans carry thousands of different microorganisms in our bodies all the time. Most are helpful. Some are dangerous, but our bodies fight them off. We even use some diseases to make medicines and vaccines." "You weaponize the plague spirits?" Thelnara's voice was barely a whisper. No, So-min said quickly. "We use them to help people. We inject weakened viruses into healthy people so their bodies learn to fight the real ones." The aliens looked at each other in absolute terror. To them, humans were describing deliberate biological warfare against their own species as a form of medicine. Captain Kang Dae-ho realized the situation was getting worse. "Ambassador, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Humans don't want to hurt anyone. We came here for peace and friendship." But Thelnara was already backing away with her remaining delegation. "You are plague bringers, Deathwalkers. Your very existence is warfare against life itself." "Wait," Yoon Ha-na called out. "Let us explain." But it was too late. The aliens rushed back to their ship, carrying their sick companions. Within an hour, every alien vessel at Harmony Point had left at maximum speed. Back on the Discovery, the human crew sat in stunned silence. They had dreamed of this moment for so long and it had gone terribly wrong. "What did we do wrong?" Hana asked sadly. So-min looked at her sample container. I just wanted to show them life on Earth. I never thought about how it would affect them. Commander Jinwoo shook his head. They seem scared of normal human biology. What kind of worlds do they come from? Dr. So-min pulled up data on her computer. From what I could scan, their homeworlds are extremely clean. No dangerous microorganisms, no diseases, no biological warfare between species. They evolved in perfect sterile environments. And we evolved on Earth, Captain Kang Daeho said quietly. A planet where everything is trying to kill everything else. Where diseases jump between species, where life fights for every breath. They sat in silence, thinking about what this meant. Captain, Hana said suddenly, I'm getting transmissions from alien ships across this sector. They're all saying the same thing. What are they saying? Hana's face went pale. Warning, warning, the humans are plague bringers. They carry death itself. Do not approach. Do not contact. Biohazard level absolute. Commander Jinwoo laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. So much for peaceful first contact. Dr. So-min looked at the alien medical data they had received during the meeting. Their biology is incredibly fragile compared to ours. What doesn't even make us sneeze could kill them in hours. So what now? The captain asked. Now we try to fix this, So-min said firmly. We need to make them understand that humans aren't monsters. We're just different. But as the Discovery headed back toward Earth, alien warning signals continued to spread across the galaxy. Humanity's first day in the galactic community had ended with them being labeled as the most dangerous biological threat in known space. Kang Daeho looked out at the stars and wondered if humanity would ever get a second chance to make a first impression. Little did he know things were about to get much worse. 6 months after the disaster at Harmony Point, Merchant Captain Kim Tae-jun guided his cargo ship Seoul Express toward Zeta Station, one of the biggest trading posts in this part of the galaxy. His sister Choi Yoo-jin sat at the engineering station checking their cargo manifest one more time. Just basic Earth crops, she said. Potatoes, rice, wheat, some fruits. Nothing dangerous. Tell that to the aliens, Tae-jun replied. Every port we've visited has treated us like we're carrying nuclear weapons. Through the view screen they could see Zeta Station ahead. It was huge, with ships from dozens of different species docked at its many arms. But as soon as the Seoul Express identified itself as a human vessel, everything changed. Human ship, halt immediately, came a voice over the radio. It was translated from some alien language, making it sound mechanical and cold. You are ordered to dock at Quarantine Bay 7. Do not approach any other vessels. Do not release any atmosphere. Do not open any cargo holds. Quarantine? Yoo-jin asked. We're not sick. Apparently all humans are sick, Tae-jun said sadly. They docked at the quarantine bay, which was separated from the main station by thick metal walls and force fields. A team of aliens in full environmental suits came aboard. They looked like tall, thin birds with 4 arms and bright blue feathers. We are the Cathara inspection team, their leader said through a speaker in his suit. We must examine your biological cargo. It's just food, Yoo-jin explained, leading them to the cargo hold. The lead inspector took one look at a potato and his feathers turned white with fear. Explosive organic matter, he announced to his team. What? It's a potato, Tae-jun said, picking one up. Look, it's harmless. He took out his pocket knife and cut it open, then took a bite of the raw potato. All the aliens jumped back in terror. The human consumed the explosive matter. One of them screamed. Its biology can process detonation compounds. No, Yoo-jin said quickly. Potatoes aren't explosive. They're full of starch. Humans eat them all the time. Starch is a high-energy compound, the inspector said, his voice shaking. Your species consumes explosive fuel as food? Tae-jun and Yoo-jin looked at each other. They were making it worse again. Meanwhile, on the diplomatic level of the station, Ambassador Ro Sung-min was trying to repair humanity's reputation at an emergency meeting of the Galactic Trade Council. Representatives from 12 different species sat around a circular table, all of them as far from the human ambassador as possible. Honored delegates, Ro Sung-min began, there has been a terrible misunderstanding about humanity. We are not the monsters you think we are. A delegate who looked like a floating jellyfish spoke first. Your species has been classified as a biological weapon. How do you explain this? Humans evolved on a difficult world, the ambassador explained. We had to adapt to survive. This made us strong, but we're not dangerous to peaceful species. Define difficult world. He requested a delegate that looked like a metal spider. Ro Sung-min thought about how to explain Earth. Well, our planet has extreme weather, dangerous animals, and diseases, but humans learn to survive and thrive. Elaborate on diseases, the jellyfish delegate demanded. Throughout history, humans have faced many plagues and illnesses. Sometimes they killed many people, but the survivors became stronger. It's called natural selection. The delegates made various sounds of horror. To them, the ambassador was describing a world where death regularly culled the weak, leaving only the strongest survivors. The Black Death killed about 30% of Europe's population, the ambassador continued, trying to show how humans overcame challenges. But the survivors rebuilt civilization and continued to advance. 30%? Whispered a delegate that looked like a crystal tree. Your species survived an extinction-level plague? Oh, that was just one of many, Ro Sung-min said helpfully. There was also the Spanish flu, smallpox, tuberculosis, malaria, and dozens of others. Humans have always lived alongside deadly diseases. The silence in the room was complete. Finally, the metal spider delegate spoke. Your species, adapted to survive multiple extinction events? Well, yes. That's how evolution works. The strong survive, the weak die out, and the species gets better. More horrified silence. Back in the cargo hold, the situation with the Seoul Express was getting worse. Choi Yoo-jin was trying to explain Earth food to the increasingly terrified inspection team. This is kimchi, she said, opening a container. It's fermented cabbage. Very healthy. The smell hit the aliens immediately. They stumbled backward, their environmental suits beeping with emergency warnings. Biological warfare agent detected, one of them shouted. Toxic gas release. It's just fermented vegetables, Yoo-jin said. Here, I'll show you. She took a bite of kimchi and smiled. The aliens watched in absolute terror as she consumed what their sensors told them was a chemical weapon. The human is immune to its own poison gas. The lead inspector gasped. It's not poison, Tae-jun said, joining his sister. It's delicious. Want some? Both humans started eating kimchi, enjoying the spicy, sour flavor they had grown up with. To the aliens, they were watching two beings casually consume toxic waste while smiling. Captain, Yoo-jin said to her brother, I think they're scared of normal food. Maybe we should show them something less frightening, Tae-jun suggested. He pulled out a bottle of soju, Korean rice wine. This is just alcohol. Very mild. He opened the bottle and took a drink, then offered it to Yoo-jin, who also drank some. The aliens' instruments immediately detected ethanol, which their databases classified as a powerful solvent and disinfectant. They're consuming industrial cleaning fluid, the lead inspector screamed into his radio. The humans are drinking poison for pleasure. Within hours, the story spread throughout Zeta Station. The humans had arrived carrying explosive materials, chemical weapons, and toxic solvents. They consumed all of these substances as normal food and drink, proving they were immune to toxins that would kill any other known species. By the time the Seoul Express was forced to leave the station without selling any cargo, the story had spread to dozens of other trading posts. Ambassador Ro Sung-min received the news in his quarters. The Trade Council had ended early when several delegates fled in terror after he mentioned humanity's survival of the fittest evolution. Sir, his aide reported, alien news networks are calling humans the toxin immune. Apparently, there are reports that we consume industrial chemicals for nutrition. The ambassador put his head in his hands. Every attempt to explain humanity made things worse. His communication screen lit up with an urgent message from Earth. It was President Lee Da-yoon herself. Ambassador, what's happening out there? She asked. We're receiving reports that the entire galactic community is afraid of humans. Madam President, Ro Sung-min said tiredly. We tried to explain that humans are adaptable and strong. They interpreted this as evidence that we're indestructible monsters who eat poison and survive apocalypses for fun. The president was quiet for a long moment. So our greatest strength became our greatest weakness in their eyes? Yes, ma'am. They think we're biological weapons that gained intelligence. On screens across the galaxy, news broadcasts showed the same message in hundreds of different languages. Human alert, Category 5, biohazard sentience. Immune to toxins. Survive extinction events. Consume chemical weapons as nutrition. Approach with extreme caution. Humanity had wanted to join the galactic community as friends and partners. Instead, they had become the boogeyman that mothers used to scare their children into behaving, and this was just the beginning. Admiral Shin Bora watched the massive alien warship approach through the view screen of her flagship, the UES Defender. The ship looked like a golden pyramid covered in weapons that glowed with energy. It belonged to the Kazoth Empire, famous throughout the galaxy for their warrior culture and sense of honor. "They're requesting a formal meeting," reported her communications officer. "Something about testing our warrior spirit." Colonel Park Min-ho stood beside the admiral. He was a Marine with 20 years of experience and scars from a dozen different conflicts. "Maybe they want to see if humans are as dangerous as everyone says we are. Or maybe they want to prove we're not," Bora replied. "Either way, we need to handle this carefully. Humanity's reputation is already terrible." The meeting took place aboard a neutral transport ship halfway between the two fleets. War Chief Gorthak was impressive to see. He stood 3 meters tall, with thick armor covering his reptilian body and glowing red eyes. His voice sounded like gravel when he spoke. "Humans," he said, "your species has gained quite a reputation. Some say you are the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy. Others say you are merely plague carriers hiding behind fear." Admiral Bora chose her words carefully. "We are explorers and peacekeepers, War Chief. We don't seek conflict." Gorthak made a sound that might have been laughter. "All warriors say they seek peace. It is what they do when peace fails that reveals their true nature." He gestured to his officers. "The Kazoth have fought honorable wars for 10,000 years. We challenge you to demonstrate your military traditions so we may know what manner of warriors you truly are." Colonel Min-ho stepped forward. "What kind of demonstration?" "Show us your weapons. Tell us of your greatest battles. Let us see the warrior spirit that makes other species flee in terror." Bora and Min-ho exchanged glances. This seemed like a reasonable request, maybe even a chance to show that humans weren't monsters. "Very well," the admiral said. "Colonel, please explain human military history to our guests." Jang Yunseo, the fleet's military historian, set up a holographic display. She was a quiet woman who loved studying the past, especially military strategy and tactics. "Human warfare has evolved over thousands of years," she began, showing images of ancient battles. "Early humans fought with simple tools and tactics, but war drove innovation and adaptation." The Kazoth officers nodded approvingly. This sounded normal. "The first major change came with organized armies," Yunseo continued. "Humans learned to fight in large groups, coordinating thousands of warriors in complex formations." Gorthak seemed interested. "How large were these armies?" "The largest battles involved millions of combatants," Yunseo said proudly. The Kazoth shifted uncomfortably. "Their largest battles involved maybe 1,000 warriors on each side. But the real evolution came in the 20th century," Yunseo continued. "Human military technology advanced rapidly during 2 global conflicts called World Wars." "Global conflicts?" one Kazoth officer asked. "Yes, wars that involved most of the planet. Nearly every human nation participated." Yunseo showed maps of the conflicts. The First World War lasted 4 years and killed about 17 million people. The second lasted 6 years and killed about 75 million. The room went very quiet. The Kazoth looked at each other with growing concern. 75 million? Gorthak whispered. "That was just military and civilian deaths," Yunseo explained helpfully. "The total number affected was much higher. Entire cities were destroyed. Some countries lost 20% of their population. And humanity survived this?" another Kazoth officer asked. "Oh yes," Colonel Min-ho jumped in. "Both wars ended with stronger international cooperation. Humans learned from the experience and built better societies. You fought wars that killed tens of millions, then became stronger." Gorthak's voice was barely audible. "That's not even the most impressive part," Yunseo said, warming up to her subject. "Human military doctrine evolved to include concepts like total war, where entire populations become part of the war effort. Nothing is off limits." She showed images of bombed cities, industrial warfare, and massive logistics operations. Humans also developed the concept of mutually assured destruction. She continued. "Weapons so powerful that using them would destroy both sides, but the threat of using them maintained peace." "What kind of weapons?" a Kazoth officer asked fearfully. "Nuclear weapons. They use atomic fusion to release incredible energy. A single bomb can destroy an entire city. Humans built thousands of them." The Kazoth were now visibly frightened, but Yunseo wasn't finished. Of course, conventional warfare remained important too. Humans developed tactics like guerrilla warfare, where small groups use hit-and-run attacks to defeat much larger forces. They learned to fight in every environment: deserts, jungles, mountains, Arctic regions, even underwater and in space. Colonel Minho decided to show them some basic human military equipment. He pulled out his combat knife, a simple but effective weapon. "This is standard equipment for human soldiers," he said, holding up the 20-centimeter blade, designed for close-quarters combat when other weapons aren't available. The Kazoth stared at the knife in horror. Their own warfare was conducted with energy weapons at long range. The idea of deliberately getting close enough to an enemy to use a blade was terrifying to them. You fight hand-to-hand?" Gorthak asked. "When necessary," Minho said. "Human soldiers are trained in multiple forms of combat: ranged weapons, explosives, hand-to-hand fighting, psychological warfare, sabotage, infiltration." Psychological warfare? Zhang Yunseo nodded enthusiastically. Humans learned to attack the enemy's mind as well as their body. Propaganda, terror tactics, demoralization, turning enemies against each other. Some human military units specialized in causing fear and confusion. She showed historical examples: night raids, camouflage techniques, and special forces operations. There were also kamikaze attacks, she continued. Warriors who deliberately sacrificed their lives to damage the enemy. They would fly explosive aircraft directly into enemy ships. The Kazoth made sounds of distress. To them, this was evidence of a species that had no regard for individual life. "But humans don't just fight to win," Colonel Minho added, trying to show humanity's noble side. "They fight to protect others even when the odds are hopeless. Human history is full of last stands, where small groups fought impossible battles to buy time for others to escape." He told them about the Battle of Thermopylae, the Alamo, and other famous last stands. "Humans choose to fight battles they know they will lose?" Gorthak asked. "When it serves a greater purpose, yes," the colonel replied proudly. Admiral Bo-Ra noticed the Kazoth were backing toward the exit. "War Chief, are you satisfied with our demonstration?" Gorthak looked at her with what could only be described as terror. "Satisfied? You describe a species that wages wars involving millions of casualties, develops weapons that can destroy planets, fights hand-to-hand with bladed weapons, deliberately sacrifices warriors for tactical advantage, and chooses hopeless battles for honor." "Well, when you put it like that," Bora began. But Gorthak was already leaving, his officers rushing after him. "We have heard enough. The Kazoth Empire will maintain respectful distance from human space. We do not wish to provoke a species of berserkers who treat mass extinction as a learning experience." Within hours, the Kazoth fleet had jumped to hyperspace, broadcasting warnings throughout their territory. The humans are warrior philosophers who have perfected the art of total war. They view death in battle as acceptable and fight conflicts that would end civilizations. Do not engage. Do not provoke. Pray they remain peaceful. Back on the Defender, the human officers sat in stunned silence. "I think we may have made things worse," Zhang Yunseo said quietly. "We just told them the truth about human history," Colonel Minho protested. "That's the problem," Admiral Bo-Ra replied. "The truth about humanity is terrifying to species that didn't evolve on a death world." She looked out at the stars, wondering what other misunderstandings awaited them. Humanity had tried to show they were honorable warriors, but instead proved they were something far more frightening. A species that had survived and thrived through conflicts that would have destroyed any other civilization. The reputation of the berserker humans began to spread, adding another layer to the growing legend of humanity's terrifying nature. Dr. Nam Ji-hoon floated in the zero-gravity laboratory of Kepler Station, watching the quantum anomaly through the reinforced viewing window. The thing was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. It looked like a ball of twisted space, where light bent in impossible directions and time seemed to flow backward. "The readings are getting worse," announced Oh Soo-jin from her engineering station. She was a small woman with steady hands and nerves of steel, perfect for the kind of precise work they were doing. "The anomaly is growing. If we don't fix this soon, it will destroy 3 solar systems." Dr. Kang Mi-young, the team psychologist, noticed how calmly Soo-jin delivered this terrifying news. "Doesn't that worry you?" she asked. "Of course it does," Soo-jin replied. But worry doesn't fix problems. Work does. Around them, scientists from a dozen different alien species worked frantically at their stations. They had been brought together because this was the worst space disaster anyone had ever seen. The quantum anomaly was eating reality itself, growing bigger every day. Dr. Vorthak, a Kazoth scientist, looked up from his calculations. Even though his people were warriors, he was scared of the humans. The quantum resonance is increasing exponentially. We have perhaps 72 hours before catastrophic expansion. What do we need to do? Nam Ji-hoon asked. Dr. Silthan, who looked like a walking flower with multiple eyes, answered nervously. Someone needs to manually recalibrate the quantum dampeners from inside the anomaly field. But the radiation levels would kill any known life form within minutes. How many minutes? Ji-hoon asked. Approximately 15 minutes of exposure would be fatal to most species. The dampener recalibration would take at least 20 minutes. The alien scientists looked at each other hopelessly. To them, this was an impossible mission. I'll do it, Oh Soo-jin said simply. Every alien in the room turned to stare at her. You cannot, Dr. Silthan said, his flower petals trembling. The radiation will kill you? Maybe, Soo-jin admitted. But if we do nothing, billions of people die. Those are bad odds. She started putting on a radiation suit, checking each seal carefully. Dr. Vorthak approached her. Human, you speak of your death as if it is a minor inconvenience. It's not minor, Soo-jin replied. But it's acceptable if it saves others. That's how humans think about risk. Nam Ji-hoon joined her at the equipment locker. You're not going alone. I'll monitor the quantum field from outside the dangerous zone and guide you through the process. And I'll track your vital signs, added Dr. Kang Mi-young. If you start dying too fast, we'll pull you out. The alien scientists watched in amazement as the humans calmly planned what they saw as a suicide mission. This is madness, whispered Dr. Chilak. A crystal being similar to the ones from First Contact. Your species treats death as an acceptable outcome? Dr. Mi-young tried to explain. Humans have always lived with danger. On our world, someone has to take risks so others can be safe. Firefighters run into burning buildings. Doctors work with deadly diseases. Soldiers protect civilians from threats. It's normal for us. She showed them historical records on her tablet. Rescue workers after earthquakes. Medical teams during plagues, exploration teams going to dangerous places. But those are specialists, Dr. Silthan protested, trained for specific dangers. Every human is trained for danger, Mi-young explained. We teach children to swim in case they fall in water. We learn first aid to help injured people. We practice evacuations in case of disasters. Everyone knows how to take calculated risks. Meanwhile, Soo-jin was making final preparations for her mission. She calibrated her tools, checked her radiation detector, and studied the anomaly readings one more time. The quantum field is unstable, she announced. I'll need to make 3 separate adjustments at different points inside the field. Each adjustment will take about 7 minutes. That's 21 minutes of exposure, Nam Ji-hoon calculated. Our best estimate says you have 15 minutes before fatal radiation poisoning. So I need to work fast, Soo-jin said with a smile. Good thing I'm efficient. The alien scientists couldn't believe what they were hearing. The humans were discussing certain death as if it were a difficult homework assignment. Dr. Vorthak pulled Dr. Mi-young aside. Is your companion mentally damaged? She speaks of dying as if it means nothing. She's perfectly sane, Mi-young replied. Soo-jin just understands the math. 3 solar systems contain billions of lives. 1 life to save billions is good math. But it is her life. Yes, and she's choosing to use it to help others. That's what humans do. Soo-jin entered the shuttle that would take her into the anomaly field. Through the communication system, she could hear Nam Ji-hoon coordinating with the other scientists. All teams ready, he announced. Soo-jin, you are clear for approach. Copy that, she replied cheerfully. See you on the other side. The shuttle disappeared into the twisted space of the anomaly. On their screens, the alien scientists watched Soo-jin's vital signs as she worked in conditions that should have killed her immediately. Radiation levels are already lethal, Dr. Chilak whispered. How is she still functioning? Adrenaline and determination, Dr. Mi-young said. Humans can push through incredible pain and damage when they have to. For 23 minutes, Soo-jin worked inside the anomaly. Her voice remained steady over the radio as she described each adjustment, even as her radiation exposure climbed to levels that should have been instantly fatal. First dampener adjusted, she reported, moving to position 2. Vital signs are critical, Mi-young announced. Heart rate elevated but stable. Second dampener complete, Sujin said. Her voice was getting weaker. Man, this suit is getting heavy. The alien scientists watched the readings in horror. According to their medical knowledge, Sujin should have been dead 10 minutes ago. Yet she continued working. Final dampener. There. Her voice was barely a whisper now. Quantum field is stabilizing. Job's done. The anomaly began shrinking immediately. Within minutes, it collapsed into normal space, leaving only empty vacuum where reality had been twisted. Sujin's shuttle limped back to the station. When they opened the hatch, she stumbled out, her face pale but smiling. That was easier than fixing the station's coffee machine, she said, then collapsed. The medical team rushed her to the hospital bay. Dr. Mi-young ran alongside the stretcher, checking Sujin's condition. Will she survive? Dr. Silthan asked. Probably, Mi-young replied. Humans are tough to kill. She'll be sick for a while, but she should recover. The alien scientists stared at each other in complete shock. They had watched a human deliberately expose herself to fatal radiation, work effectively while dying, complete an impossible mission, then joke about it afterward. Dr. Vorthak was the first to speak. Your species treats death as an acceptable workplace hazard. When necessary, Dr. Nam Ji-hoon said. Sujin knew the risks, did the math, and made her choice. That's what humans do. But she was dying during the mission. How did she continue to function? Training, willpower, and stubbornness, Ji-hoon explained. Humans don't quit easily. Within hours, word of the human demonstration spread throughout the scientific community. The story grew with each telling. Humans who worked effectively while dying, treated lethal radiation as a minor inconvenience, and joked about impossible missions. Dr. Chalak sent a report to the Galactic Science Council. Human subject completed fatal mission, while casualty discussing procedure as routine maintenance. Species appears to consider death an acceptable occupational hazard. Recommend extreme caution when requesting human assistance with dangerous projects. 3 days later, Sujin was sitting up in the medical bay, complaining that the alien food was too bland. When reporters asked her about her heroic sacrifice, she seemed confused. Sacrifice? I did my job. Someone had to fix the problem, and I was the best qualified. Besides, I'm fine now. But you nearly died. Nearly doesn't count, she said with a laugh. Besides, dying would have made the paperwork really complicated. The aliens listening to this interview came to a terrifying conclusion. Humans didn't just accept death as a possibility. They treated it as a minor administrative inconvenience. The reputation of the death-immune humans began to spread across the galaxy, adding yet another layer to humanity's growing legend as the most frightening species in known space. President Lee Da-yoon sat in her office in Seoul, looking at reports that seemed impossible to believe. In the 2 years since first contact, humanity had somehow become the unofficial rulers of half the galaxy, and they had never fired a shot in anger. Madam President, said General Yu Hyun-woo, placing another data pad on her desk. The Rigel Consortium has officially surrendered. That makes 17 different alien governments that have given up without us even asking them to. Bae Ji-won, the Minister of Interstellar Relations, looked exhausted. She had been trying to manage humanity's accidental empire for months. The Rigel message says, and I quote, "We acknowledge human superiority in all matters of war, biology, and survival. Please accept our humble surrender and spare our worlds from your terrible wrath." What terrible wrath? The President asked. We haven't threatened anyone. Apparently our existence is threat enough, General Yu replied. Intelligence reports say alien children are told bedtime stories about the terrible humans who eat poison, survive apocalypses, and treat death as entertainment. President Lee rubbed her temples. How did we get here? The answer came 3 hours later, when Bae Ji-won finally managed to establish proper communication with a Vellani diplomat. Ambassador Thelnara appeared on the screen, her crystal body dim with what humans had learned was fear. Honored human leader, Thelnara said carefully, we are grateful you have agreed to speak with us. We wish to understand your intentions for the galaxy. Our intentions? President Lee asked. We just want to be friends and trade partners. Thelnara's light flickered. Friends? With the Deathbringers? Bae Ji-won leaned forward. Ambassador, please help us understand. Why is everyone so afraid of humans? You truly do not know? Delnara seemed surprised. Your species carries plague weapons as gifts. You consume industrial toxins for pleasure. You wage wars that kill millions and become stronger from the experience. You work while dying and treat death as a minor inconvenience. How could we not fear such beings? President Lee was quiet for a long moment. Those aren't weapons or threats. That's just how humans are. Exactly, Delnara said. You are beings who exist in conditions that would destroy any other species. Your normal biology is our worst nightmare. Your peaceful activities are our definition of warfare. Your everyday behavior proves you are beyond our understanding. On another screen, General Yu was reviewing the latest intelligence reports. Madam President, we're getting similar reports from across the galaxy. The Kazoth Empire has declared human space the zone of no return. The Zephyrian Trade Federation is paying us tribute to stay away from their shipping lanes. 3 different pirate gangs have disbanded rather than risk encountering human ships. The pirates are quitting? President Lee asked. Yes, ma'am. Apparently they heard that humans fight hand-to-hand with knives and survive radiation that melts starship hulls. They decided piracy wasn't worth the risk. Bai Jiwan pulled up a galactic map on the main screen. It showed human space as a small blue area in one corner, but colored zones around it marked the influence of Earth's accidental empire. The green zones are species that have allied with us for protection, she explained. The yellow zones are neutral territories that refuse to allow any hostile actions toward humans. The red zones are areas where alien governments have forbidden their ships to travel because they might encounter human vessels. How much of the galaxy is affected? The president asked. About 60%, General Yu answered, and it's growing every day. A new message arrived while they spoke. It was from the Antarian Republic, a collection of peaceful worlds near human space. The Antarians are requesting a protection treaty, Bai Jiwan reported. They're being threatened by aggressive neighbors and they want humans to demonstrate our displeasure with the aggressors. What does that mean? I think they want us to do something scary. President Lee looked at the message. It says here that just flying a human ship through the area would be enough. They don't want us to actually fight anyone. That's the strange part, General Yu said. Most of these conflicts are being resolved without violence. Alien governments hear that humans are involved and immediately back down. Admiral Kang De-ho, now in charge of humanity's accidental space navy, joined the meeting by video link from his flagship. Madam President, he reported, I have 17 alien ambassadors requesting meetings this week. They all want to discuss terms of peaceful coexistence and tribute arrangements. None of them seem to understand that we don't want tribute. What do they think we want? The president asked. To be left alone, mostly. But they interpret that as us being so powerful we don't need to make demands. They think it's a sign of ultimate strength. Dr. Park So-min, now head of the xenobiology department, had been studying alien psychology for 2 years. She joined the meeting from her laboratory. I've been analyzing alien cultures, she reported. Most of them evolved on worlds with stable environments and few dangers. They never developed humanity's ability to adapt to extreme conditions. To them, humans are like walking natural disasters that gained intelligence. But we're not dangerous to peaceful species, President Lee protested. We know that, Dr. So-min replied. But they don't. From their perspective, humans are beings who consider apocalyptic conditions normal. Treat biological warfare as medicine. Wage wars that would end civilizations and work effectively while dying. Even our attempts to be helpful seem terrifying to them. Beijiwan brought up another report. The latest intelligence suggests that alien parents use humans as examples in moral lessons. They tell their children, be good, or the terrible humans will come and make you drink their poison food. They think kimchi is poison, General Yu said with a laugh. It's not funny, the president replied. We've accidentally become the monsters of the galaxy. Not monsters, Admiral Kang corrected. Guardians. The strange thing is, galactic crime rates have dropped dramatically since humans became active in space. Pirates, slave traders, and aggressive empires are all avoiding areas where they might encounter humans. Because they're afraid of us. Yes, but the result is peace. Species that have been at war for centuries are negotiating treaties rather than risk attracting human attention. President Lee looked at the galactic map again. The areas under human influence were indeed more peaceful than they had been in generations. So we accidentally created peace through fear? It appears so, Beijiwan confirmed. The galaxy is more stable now than it has been in recorded history. A new message arrived. This one from a species they hadn't heard from before. The Hegemony of Worlds, a collection of aggressive militaristic planets, was requesting a formal non-aggression pact with humanity. The Hegemony has been conquering worlds for 300 years, General Yu noted. Now they want to promise they'll never attack human allies. What changed their minds? Admiral Kang answered. 3 of their scout ships detected a human cargo vessel last month. The cargo ship was carrying medical supplies to a disaster area, but the Hegemony scouts analyzed the contents and decided it was a biological weapon delivery. They reported that humans were so confident in their power that they didn't even try to hide their weapons shipments. President Lee sighed. So our humanitarian aid mission looked like a threat? Yes, ma'am. The Hegemony leadership decided that any species casually transporting biological weapons must be too dangerous to fight. Over the following weeks, more reports arrived. Alien species across the galaxy were changing their behavior to avoid offending humanity. Wars were ending, crime was decreasing, and peaceful cooperation was increasing, all because everyone was afraid of accidentally provoking the terrible humans. The irony, Bei Jiwan observed during a staff meeting, is that humanity dreamed for centuries of uniting the galaxy in peace. We thought we would do it through diplomacy, technology, or exploration. Instead, we did it by being ourselves. By being terrifying, President Lee corrected. By being human, General Yu said. We're not terrifying to ourselves because we understand the context. We know that humans eat spicy food because it tastes good, not because we're immune to toxins. We know that humans take risks to help others because that's who we are, not because we consider death entertainment. Dr. So-Min had been quiet during the discussion. Finally, she spoke up. I've been thinking about this, she said. Maybe being feared isn't the worst thing that could happen to humanity. How can you say that? The president asked. Because fear without aggression creates respect. The aliens don't hate us. They don't want to destroy us. They're just very, very careful around us. And that carefulness is creating a more peaceful galaxy. Admiral Kang nodded. She's right. We never wanted to conquer anyone, and we're not conquering anyone now. We're just existing. And our existence is enough to make everyone else behave better. President Lee looked out the window at the Seoul skyline, thinking about humanity's strange place in the universe. So we're accidental peacekeepers? The best kind, General Yu replied. We keep the peace without having to fight for it. In the months that followed, humanity reluctantly accepted their role as the galaxy's unintentional guardians. Human ships patrolled space not as conquerors, but as symbols of the terrible consequences of conflict.